So my old fridge had started flaking on me the last few trips, and I decided to re-up. And this time I got a pair instead of just one giant one. Reason being is I got sick of sacrificing my eggs and dairy to keep my steak and chicken frozen. So I got one set to freezer, one set to fridge, and as things do, this snowballed into a bigger project. All of my kitchen equipment and all that stuff I store down here, and my fridges, as you can see, are on top. So if I'm cooking, I got my tailgate open, I got my kitchen set up, and I forget to grab something out of the bin, what I end up having to do is pull the refrigerators out individually now, put them on the ground. Hopefully it's not raining, and hopefully I have the longer power cords hooked up that reach to the plugs in the back of the Jeep, just so I can come in here and grab my eggs or my salt or whatever I have in here that I need to get to. So the goal of this project is to be able to get into this compartment down here without having to pull the refrigerators out and put them on the ground. Here's the idea that I sketched down last week, which sort of kicked off the project. It's basically just a tilting shelf system for the refrigerators, and it allows me to get them up and out of the way inside the Jeep, so I'm not having to pull them in and out of the Jeep just to get to my luggage compartment underneath. The goal with this rack system is to keep it simple. I want it to be removable without too much trouble. I want it to have as few moving parts as possible. I'm not trying to add a ton of weight to the back of the Jeep. The rear bench already has a pretty heavy-duty tilting mechanism built into it. What I want to do is just bolt the rack system to the rear bench and utilize the one that's already there. So I think I got a game plan that requires as little alteration to the seat frame here as possible. This will be my support here for the rack, my internal support. This is nice, thick, really stout tubing, probably overkill, but it's not gonna hurt for what I'm doing. So I'll drill a hole through it, and I'll replace this bolt with a longer one that goes through all of that original stuff, through the seat frame and this hinge and stuff. And it also goes through to the other side of the tube here. And then I'll tap this upper hole here and run another bolt through there. So this will be solidly bolted in place here. And then the rest of the rack will build off of this. So this will be hidden inside the seat back here, completely concealed. You'll never know it was there, except for two nut certs that'll be, wherever I put them, that will attach the horizontal support that's gonna come out like that, something like that. So when I'm not using the rack, I'll just undo those two bolts and those two bolts, remove the rack, and to the untrained eye, it'll be completely factory. That bung is threaded to M10 1.5 now. I ran a 3/8 bit through there just to get it started. All right, this is coming out really nice, actually. I still need to figure out a way to space the vertical supports away from these bungs, maybe some washers, or maybe I don't know, fabricate something. But as you can see, as I tighten this bolt down to preload the washer, the lock washer on there, it's pulling the support in this direction because it fits flush down here, but up here there's a gap on both sides. Just the nature of the shape of the frame. I think tomorrow I'm gonna figure that out, and then I can start thinking about the horizontal supports, how they're gonna attach. For the time being, I'm gonna put the bench seat back in the Jeep and put my storage bin behind it and take some measurements and figure out exactly what this angle needs to be, because the bench sitting on the bench here is this angle is not accurate to what it'll be in the Jeep, and I want it to be exact, dead on. So I have the two arms cut to the angle that I need, and I have the mounting plate for this one. I just need to make a matching one for the passenger side. I'm about to tack this before I go and get dinner. This is the first time I'm turning this welder on in probably, still works. Probably, I don't know, maybe 5 months, 6 months. I am novice at very best at stick welding. I haven't even tried the flux core and the TIG and the MIG on this. This does all of those, but I've just been using it for stick. Not bad for an evening's work. That folds forward like that, and then I have full access to my bin. So I close that, and the fridges are back in place.
It's awesome, but it's like a lot.
I got the shelf framed in. It's just tacked temporarily right now, and I still have it clamped to the seat back because I don't want to drill any holes yet. I'm not exactly sure of the elevation that I want to put this at. The plan was originally that I would open I would lift the shelf and then I'd be able to open the lid on this plastic container. What I want to do now is make the shelf the lid for the container, so I don't have to open the shelf and then open the lid. I can just open the shelf and I have access to the container. So I went to the metal shop this afternoon and ordered the aluminum material to create the shelf. I went as wide and as deep as I possibly could. What I ended up at was 90 centimeters. So I'm going wall to wall here, and I'm coming out 50 centimeters towards the tailgate. So I came up with a spacing solution that I like better than stacked washers for that space that I need between the tube and the bung that the bolt goes through, the upper bolt. I just didn't like that idea. I could imagine pulling the bolt out and having these washers just all over the place. There's my spacer all cleaned up. Drop it on the crosshair here. I really need to learn how to weld. That'll definitely hold, though. It took way too long, but I'm satisfied, and that's really all that matters. So that goes in there like that. I can crank that down as tight as I want now, and that's not going to go out of plumb.
He's successfully tackling the last of the bamboo boxes and the last of the dragon. Let's check back in with Pete Woods on play-by-play on how he thinks he's doing. What are you watching for right now?
Yeah, this is so cool. You can see him. You can see him pretty good. I'm looking right at him right now.
He's up. He did it. All right, so it's been a week and I've gotten some pretty decent progress. It's not done. It's probably, I don't know, 80% done at this point. I want to cover it with carpet and do a couple other things before I start building out the area, the cargo area underneath. But I'm pretty happy with this. I got motion sensing lights underneath, so when it opens up, I have really nice lighting down into the cargo area. And I also got some struts on here, and I was lucky enough to have the lower ends of the struts fall just perfectly into holes that were already existing from the factory. So I didn't have to drill any holes into the tub. I just had to drill 2 holes into the framework up above and tap those. So I didn't have to build any custom brackets for these struts, and I didn't even need the brackets that came with the strut kit. I did have one setback, and that is that I miscalculated and underestimated how much power these struts put out. I have probably more than double the lifting strength that I need in these struts. I've already ordered a new set that are about half the strength of these. It's not a big deal. They're only, I think they were like 30, 32 bucks. So I'm gonna leave these in until the new ones get here. Should probably take a week or so. But check this out. This is actually pretty hilarious. how much lifting power these things have. You actually have to push down on the shelf in order to get the latch to undo. Now watch this. That's definitely a bit too much lifting power. But aside from the strut spec, I think I nailed everything else more or less. At full tilt, the shelf is at exactly 45 degrees, which puts it roughly an inch below the harness bar. So it clears there. Naturally, the harness bar is not going to be here when I have the refrigerators in here. I just have this in here because my parents are in town, so I need use of the back seat. My harness is actually balled over there in the corner. But everything clears perfectly. And the fact that it clears so well means that I can pretty much leave this shelf in here full time. So that's where we're at right now. I gotta wait for those new struts to come, and I gotta get some carpeting for the top of the shelf. So I guess I'm gonna end this here and say to be continued.
Keep that more fun.